Greetings players, it's been a while since we uploaded a video onto the Drillimation YouTube channel, and that is because we had to move back to the Hearst and get used to the normal school schedule again. Although I did not upload a video in February except for the Chuhou Joutai 2 demo trailer, I am actually recording this on February 26, 2021, even though the Chuhou Joutai 2 demo was released like yesterday. Now that I have all the boring stuff out of the way, let's start the video off by asking what Chuhou Joutai 2 even is. Firstly, it is the second installment and sequel to Chuhou Joutai, which released on Steam back in May 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. Because the game had such a good reception, I felt I wouldn't bother to do a sequel. Anyway, here's a fun fact about it. The sequel actually began pre-production before the first game had even released. You'll notice the visuals, including the art direction in this new game, got a complete overhaul. This means the cartoony art direction of the previous game has been retired, as that's how many of our players wanted it. You're probably tired of hearing me talk about the game. One of the big things I want to show you now is the gameplay. As I mentioned in previous videos, we are playing the development version of the ROM, so there may be some parts that may differ from the version that you have at home.
Stage 1 was like any other game I've made. A lot of planning was put into it, and so was a lot of art assets. If you saw in the trailer, the gameplay is almost identical to that of the first game, although the major differences include new stages and Danmaku patterns, a new art direction, and a new color palette. We figured that's what players wanted for the second game, and that ploy appears to be working. The typical enemies include the Bakumba and Ember. The Ember first appeared in Stage 5 of the first game and came in 3 different colors. This time, the Ember is only one color. To fit the theme of what you'll encounter for the first stage boss, all I did was come up with this typical Yurei boss, just a blue-haired girl wearing a white yukata here. Her attack is pretty straightforward and easy to dodge. Not to mention bosses now drop bombs at random upon defeat. Another major difference with Driller Suspect CD is that it is now more powerful, meaning depending on how much shot power you have, his auxiliary bullets will deal more damage. Not to mention, the Driller system had to be rewritten since Chuhou Joutai 2 was made using a newer version of Game Maker Studio 2, and it also reused the engine used to make the Story of Eastern Wonderland remake. We're up to the first boss now, it's Maika Otake. Within the lore of Chuhou Joutai, Hearthstone likes to falsely claim everyone is a Crimson Knight, when in reality it's just a yokai-born Maiko in training visiting the Hakude Shrine. Did I just say Hakude Shrine? Yes, this is the present-day Hakude Shrine. I know it may be odd to feature a predominant Touhou project location within the world of Chuhou Joutai, but we can legally do it since you may consider it a Touhou project fan game. Kozan is basically the modern-day version of Gensokyo. I based Maiko off a typical Maiko, albeit without the makeup, but you'll see later in the game. Simply put, it feels like Princess Peach is cosplaying a Maiko. Her boss fight is pretty easy, even on Lunatic. Since most geishas and Maikos wear a trailing skirt with their kimonos, you can see her lifting it up as she walks and runs. Now we're on to Stage 2. This is the first Chuhou Joutai stage to depict you riding a vehicle. In the previous game you didn't use a vehicle other than the Victorian Princess for the 6th stage. Kagami told Driller that they simply want to take a bike around downtown Kozankyo. Now the enemies in the game include the Gomi Gunner. That enemy first appeared in Stage 1 of the previous game, and their behavior is practically the same. Not to mention we had to do some serious difficulty balancing as previous iterations made that stage too difficult even on the highest difficulty. Stage 2 was also the most soul-crushing stage I worked on, as I had to prepare a ton of art assets. It took me 2 weeks to complete the stage. If I can continue making the game at this pace, I can get the base game done by the end of May. For the other enemy, I poked fun at our playtester's home country of Singapore by calling this Raven Karana. The enemy it was based on is actually the Story of Eastern Wonderland remake enemy, but with a new color palette and near identical behavior. Now, the mid-boss is pretty much the same as the first game. As soon as you defeat him, you'll go straight into the boss fight. While his attacks may be simple, get ready for his boss fight, which you'll see shortly. Kazuo's boss fight was one of the more fun bosses I ever designed. This is also the first boss whose theme music was not composed by me, but the playtester, as mentioned in the music room comments. Not to mention that Driller and Kagami wear their festival clothes at this part, as this is the first Chuhou Joutai stage to take place at night, though only for this part. As a way to bring eye candy to male audiences, my goal with Kagami was to make her as fashionable as possible by having her wear different outfits from game to game. Same thing goes for the royal woman she's loyal to. Kazuo mentioned about a mine that is set to explode in 60 seconds. I doubt you are going to beat him in 60 seconds and not hear the song in full. Stage 3 was the most interesting one. Fun fact, I actually finished stages 1 and 3 a week early. That gave me additional time to make both videos. Just like the previous stage, you aren't going down a highway on a bike. I don't think that's legal to do. But Driller and Kagami are breaking the law on this stage. Anyway, one enemy from the Story of Easter Wonderland remake appears on this stage, called the Mistiboo. Funny thing is, they cover their faces when your Danmaku gets near them within a 64 pixel radius. Also, I want to mention we brought back another enemy from the first Chuhou Joutai game, being the Spartan. Their behavior is almost identical, though the major difference is they now move after attacking. The mid-boss is a familiar face we brought back from the first game, being Dama Usagi. She was the stage 3 boss. Unlike the previous game where she was blocking your way out of the forest, this time she's blocking your access to the toll barrier. Well, our duo doesn't have easy pass, so how are they able to pass? We are technically on the Gadashima Provincial Thruway, which is a toll road. Anyway, her Danmaku is a little trickier to get through since all of her attacks have large Danmaku. Now, this is the boss whose theme music can be considered my favorite theme I ever composed. It is actually an arrangement of another song, which I wrote for the MIDI keyboard unboxing video. Originally, his theme was not going to be composed by me, but the playtester, but his computer died within days of the request and he had to reinstall Windows, which was pretty unfortunate. Anyway, I ended up composing his theme myself. While coming up with attacks, I decided to play another series of shooter games over the holiday season. You should try guessing where I got the inspiration for his attacks. One of the main goals of the plot of this game was to go beyond Kozankyo into nearby locations to search for Queen Marissa's precious thing that she handed down from generation to generation. As the game continues development, so will the number of locations that will be added. Just enjoy the rest of the boss fight.
I hope you enjoyed your first glimpse at the game, and we hope you enjoyed the Chuhou Joutai 2 demo. The link to that is in the description. I am proud to announce that the game will release on Steam on July 2nd, 2021. I have 12 more weeks to get the game done. If I can dedicate 2 weeks to completing a stage, I can have the entire game done by the end of May. I had 6 weeks to get the first 3 stages and the demo done. I got it done in 4. Lastly, I have some big announcements to make. From this point on, the price for Chuhou Joutai 1 on Steam and itch.io will be $4.99 from that point on. The reason why we're slashing the price is because not many players are playing it and we aren't meeting our revenue goals. Chuhou Joutai 2 will also be sold at that price. I'm also here to announce that this video will also mark the end of an era within Drillamation's world. As mentioned in the March 2021 monthly update on our website, a few weeks ago I sent an official notice to my academic advisors that I am leaving. This means May 2021 will officially be my last month here, unless something else pops up. Once that time comes, I will officially be doing indie game development full time. I understand that making a video game entirely by yourself in terms of programming, sounds, graphics is extremely difficult. I happen to have learned all the necessary skills to do it. But to sustain myself in the gaming industry, we are proud that we are planning an official partnership with Whitethorn Digital here in Erie. Those are the guys who publish Calico and Where the Bees Make My Honey. We are actually creating a brand new title they will publish on PC and Switch called White Javelin. As you can see, it's just a breakout clone that's meant to be my own version of one of my favorite titles on PC. Despite this, it looks like our fanbase on social media has grown at a frightening rate. We now have over 4,000 players following our Twitter and Instagram profiles combined. That's a lot. Since we're so active on social media, plenty of new players come to our Twitter and Instagram profiles on a frequent basis. And to ensure they get the best experience, we will respond to your complaints. If you want to chat with us on Discord or even subscribe to our Patreon, the links to those are in the description. This broadcast was brought to you from the Hearst. The number of new coronavirus cases here in the US are falling at a frightening rate thanks to the vaccine in place. As a game developer during a pandemic, it helped me finish my first game during my time in quarantine. That's all, players. Thank you for watching.